blesses with each and every day. Sometimes we fail to remember just how fortunate we are to live in this country, to be able to work on problems together, to have constructive dialogue. We pray as always to the county, for the county board, for the employees of the county, and for the public that we can do what's in the best interest of our people. And we pray as always that you'll watch over, care for us, keep us safe as we leave this place, and forgive us for sins in Christ's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Lance, would you do the roll call, please?
Commissioner Pitts.
Here.
Commissioner Toller.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Foster. Absent. Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Gould.
Here twice.
Oh, did I say you twice? Yeah.
That's okay.
You're that important, I guess.
First thing on the agenda, we have minutes from February 22nd regular meeting. Everybody had a chance to look. Need a motion to approve them as written, please. I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Commissioner Pitts.
Yes.
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Any public comments from anyone? Yes, ma'am.
You care if I come forward, please?
No, that's fine.
I'll try not to make this very boring. I am a big recycling person. And my name is Sharon Dillon. Some of you may know Mr. Pitts. You've had my husband before. Max, we went to school. He's a little bit older than I used to go. I cleaned your house before. I cleaned houses for 36 years. But nevertheless, part of my family is the Trail of Tears. My mother came from St. Paul, Minnesota. She worked for the FBI and the Underground World at the same time. My parents instilled in me, if you believe in something, stand up for it. My husband read to me, y'all are going to get rid of the recycling bin, and I feel that this needs to be discussed a little bit more. It says it will save $7,000 for this county. This county, I know you drive along the roads and it's very trashy. I feel if more people would recycle, it wouldn't be this way. There's a lot of things I have done in this county, and I didn't want my name to be mentioned. I don't want to be brave about it or a big person about it. If you go over to the Jonesboro School, they have 3 benches. I think they're yellow, and they've been made out of bottle caps. About 4 years ago, it was a school project for the children. My 2 grandchildren go over there, and I put the word out through a friend at an office, and her grandmother contacted some people through the church, her church in the Johnson City, Marion area, and they donated a truckload of bottle caps. It takes 400 pounds and $200 to do a bench. And the reason I have brought some of this stuff, number one, y'all may know Kendra Edwards. She's a school teacher over here. Okay, I know this may be kind of boring to somebody, but I hope not. I hope you can get some use out of it. They use these labels for things for their school. That's recycling. She uses things like this, which is in the paper towels, toilet paper for things for their children. Okay. Glass. Do any of you know how long it takes to decompose a bottle of glass? How long do you think it'll be?
A couple thousand years, I'd say.
No, it's 1,000. That's a long time. We need to redo. Plastic bags takes a long time. Now, Max, I think you know in the funeral business, there are body bags when people cannot afford a casket or a wooden box. They have recyclable green bags that they put bodies in. I think you know that. Because there's a gentleman here in town that does that. Because he can't afford to pay it for himself. Styrofoam, you know one of the main things that they're doing with styrofoam nowadays? They're making foundations for homes. Between 2 pieces of metal, they melt the styrofoam down and put it between, never rots. And I just bought the bottle caps. Okay, then the tabs off of soda cans. Do you know what that does for people, for children? Mr. Gould, would you have any idea? By saving these, children can get free cancer treatments. There was a little child, and you probably heard over the radio here a few years ago in Cobden, that needed these caps. And you may have seen Mr. Pitts up there, going north of Cobden. There was a McDonald's house.
Mhm.
Well, I was taking bags that people were saving and giving to me, and I was putting these little bags in there. Well, that child, I didn't know that child, didn't know what she looked like or anything. But once you help someone and you believe, this is what you can do. Well, I had dropped many bags in there, and one day out at Union County Fair, this little Mexican girl came up to me. She was about 6 years old, and gave me a big hug and said, "Thank you for helping me get my cancer treatments." Things can be redone, and I just feel it's an injustice to all of us that recycle. There's more ways of saving money for this county, and you all are doing a great job, and I appreciate it. And each one of these ran for things that you believe for to do for the county, for us taxpayers. And yes, I pay a lot of taxes in this county, and I'm not bragging about the taxes, not at all. And I am not a tree hugger. We just sold all of our timber this past year. I have 2 grandsons that's been making extremely good living out of the woods by selling wood and selling treetops. So don't think that I'm a tree hugger or trying to create some problems for y'all. I just wish you could think about some of this stuff and reconsider and maybe let us keep continuing recycling here. But thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll take it under consideration.
Thank you so much.
Any other public comments?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just wanted to let you know that we have set the date for the Annabelle Festival for June 8th and 9th of this year. And we have the car show on Friday night, and we also have a motorcycle show on Saturday. We had like over 600 people in one night last year come through on a Friday night when we were taking names and extras of names that we had. So it is growing. Hopefully it will not be as hot as it was last year. Everything will be located on East Davie Street and West Davie Street, and then up Main Street. So everything will be pretty visible. And we're hoping that the county will help with advertising this year. Just, on their webpage and stuff.
Thank you. I'm sure we can. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Any committee reports?
Other than the fact that we had our first 911
Yeah.
PTSD meeting. Yeah, I'll defer to Chris or whenever you
Yeah,
want to.
yeah, that's why I'm gonna do that right now, if that's okay. If you wanna. The first joint Alexander Union County meeting was held this week, new board members. And very proud of that. Crystal, you want to give us a rundown on how it went and so forth?
Everyone was in attendance for the meeting, and we set appointments for the board. Steve Hartline is serving as chairman, Grant Cable is vice chairman, Sheriff Harville as treasurer, and Susan Bingham, which is an Alexander representative, as the secretary. And we set a budget and passed contract, kind of everything that just kind of needed to be worked out paper-wise. So I think everyone's glad that it's done, and we are in the process of purchasing plaques for the past 911 board members from both boards to recognize their service.
Good. Glad it's underway. Appreciate that. Any other office holders have anything to say, or supervisors, or anything they want to bring up?
I can say it real quick. We had a audit, well, not an audit, but a type of audit done that looked at our internet security and our voter registration security throughout the county. It's put on by the State Board of Elections through a separate unit, but did a cybersecurity network analyst is what I guess what we call it. Our county did very well with the findings. We got the report back a week or two ago. There's just a couple little things that we'll need to work on, but for the most part, we look very secure. And also by doing that, received a $12,500 grant as well to be used for new equipment to keep secure and everything else like that. So with that, I know we're going to be updating all of our computers in my office. I know it's one thing we're going to look at, but some other things are going on with the office there. So
Good deal. Sounds good.
I just wanted to add on our iDrop program too, that it's being very successful, and right now with the tax time, we're getting a lot of money turned over to the county from the state refunds. A lot of people are coming in even after they're able to offset and return the return to us. They're even coming in and paying, trying to set up arrangements and pay the remaining balances. So it's definitely been a good, benefit to our county, and it's getting the word out there, so. Something.
Good deal. Thank you, guys. Building permits, Kevin.
Kind of slow this morning.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It was hard time back. Got four this morning. First one is for Southern Water 5 LLC, 0314015718. It's for an antenna, no subdivision issues or floodplain issues, recommend for approval. Next one is for Dale and Trina King, 0113000104. It's for a new home, no subdivision or floodplain issues, recommend for approval. Next one is for David Miller for a mobile home, 0523037799. No subdivision or floodplain issues, recommend for approval. Next one is Dale Archie, 0209000744. It's for a garage in a previously subdivided area with no floodplain issues, recommend for approval.
Do you know what this LLC consists of?
No. You want the issue on it?
Doesn't matter, but I just was curious. Any questions from anybody? I need a motion to approve all 4 building permits then.
I'll say.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Toller,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
I'm gonna, yeah, we'll just leave everything in order. Okay. County finances, I don't see the treasurer, I don't think we have anything outstanding to report. She did get her other report that comes out weekly, cleared up, changed over. So we're about to get there. Old business, the 2017 county audit findings update. Do you have anything new to report?
Yes, we have a few things. We're plugging right along at trying to get them all corrected. Heidi in the sheriff's department wrote up a description of their process for the bond process and the bond bank accounts, which was one of the findings for the auditor. And they implemented an extra review step where Scott is now reviewing the bank recs. So we have all that drafted up. So that one should be good now. Also, Angela and Tiffany met yesterday, and they've gotten everything worked out with what's missing from the personnel files. I believe Tiffany's going to make copies of some missing information that Angela doesn't have and get those turned over. We've also worked out what needs to be turned in for the paid time off from the circuit clerk's office. And then Tiffany and I are meeting, I think today after this, to go over the finding that was in reference to the segregation of duties. I believe she's already got them corrected. We just have to document it so that we can let the auditors know. So we're plugging right away at that, and we've already scheduled the 2018 audit to start, and the auditors will be here the week of the 18th. So
How many other findings do we have to go?
um,
Off the top of your head?
we probably have 3 more that we still don't have completely done, but all of them have been started. So the one that's for the court system, Tyler is pulling some files and doing some reviews. We think that it's already corrected when we implemented a new program to make sure we're capturing all the fines and fees of the court system. So he's just looking at the findings that they had and seeing if they're all before we implemented the program, which is what we're guessing. That once the program was implemented, it's all taken care of.
Good deal, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Under new business, approved payment of bills, everybody had a chance to look at the bill list. Any questions? Need a motion then to pay the bills.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Toller,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Gould.
Yes.
I see Cheryl came in,
I did.
yeah, there you are.
Good morning.
Good morning, Regional Office of Education Quarterly Report of Activities.
Okay, so we've submitted to you our quarterly report, so I'll just go over some other things that we're doing in the office. So we have completed all of our health, life, safety visits to all of our buildings in all 5 counties. Our main the thing we're working on right now is compliance. So compliance is where we go into every district and every school, and we look at personnel records, student records, and then some of the mandates that the state has for us to kind of work on to make sure our schools are completing those. As I see, I have superintendents here today that are going to speak to you in a minute. One of the things we're doing, getting a lot in right now, are building permits also. So our counties that have the 1% sales tax are working on upgrading to their buildings, and so we have to do those building permits, and then later we do the occupancy permits for those. So one of the things we're also hoping with the legislatures that's before them right now is that the school districts haven't received in a long time any kind of maintenance grants. And so that is up, and we're hoping that's going to be funded to help our districts as they continue to improve their buildings. What I think in the past, one of the things you've asked me about is your homeless count for the county, Union County only, of our breakdown. And so I have that with me this morning. And so for Union County, it's 187 is the total for, out of that total that's on there. To break it down for you a little bit more, is 187. And keep in mind that that is done according to where the school district is located, not necessarily where the students live, because we know some of our districts take in more than one county in that. So just to kind of keep that in mind, it's done by where the school district is. The only other question I have as I've been going to the counties is, do you have any polling places in any of your schools? Okay, because you know there's a couple bills up for that too, that I was hoping you were watching also, and that our school districts also, depending on what happens with those bills. So yeah, there may be some changes there. Let's see if anything else I have on here. I really think, other than the report, that was the only additional information I had. So if you have any questions for me this morning.
Sounds good as always.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And as always, we appreciate your support for our office too.
Appreciate you, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the MFT materials bid acceptance. This is another of the yearly housekeeping items. You want to speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's pretty much what Max has said, that this is something that we do every year. If we anticipate that we're going to spend more than $30,000 with a supplier, we need to, in a year's time, that we need to do a competitive bid on those expenditures by law. So it deals with things like our rock, pipes, oil products that we use, those kind of things. So the question always comes up, how did we fare compared to last year? And the HSB 300, which is the stuff we make the Black Creek and the band materials out of, came in quite a bit cheaper. I believe there was a bidding error, and because the salesman told me there was, so we're going to benefit from that. But other than that, the HFE 150, which we use for the oil and chip on the road, it was up from $1.40 last year to $1.71, so it's a pretty significant increase this year. And then for the rest of the products, which would be our aggregates and our culverts, they are up, for instance, $8.65 a ton to $8.90 a ton for C6, which is rock that we use. So, and then culverts, for instance, a 15-inch culvert is up from $8.85 a foot to $10.32 a foot. So these are the kind of increases that we're seeing this year. And Lance attended the meeting, as did Angie, on the bid openings to see that everything was done according to statute. So I recommend that you accept these bids and we go on with our year.
I need a motion to pass this resolution on acceptance of the bids, please. Second.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Toller,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Going to take time here for a minute. We actually have a celebrity standing up here in front of us. Kevin, last week was given an award for being the Zone 3 County Engineer of the Year by the Illinois Association of County Engineers. It's a pretty nice deal. Zone 3 consists of 27 counties, and for him to be named the top dog, I'm very proud of him. And I'm not going to read the whole press release here. I'll let him put it in the paper and so forth. He also serves as Vice Chairman of the Constitutional Bylaws and Emergency Preparedness Committee. And he's an Executive Director, a member of the Executive Director and Audit Committee for the Illinois Association of County Engineers. And I'm just going to tout your horn a little bit. We really appreciate what you do. I don't think a lot of people in the county realize how hard you work and how much you stretch a dollar. As you always say, spend it twice or three times, which you do. I don't know how. I just hope you keep that touch. You know, we were fortunate enough this year to put a little more money in his budget. We've got future plans for some other things that he needs. One thing probably would be an office where it falls on his head down there. But seriously, we appreciate it and thank you for your service, and hold your plaque up. I'm not going to present it to you since they already had it for everybody to see it. So, but
Congratulations.
thank you.
Max, may I say something please towards him? He does an awesome job, and the county boys do an awesome job in our county of mowing and keeping things up. And when you call them once up, they get her done. They do an excellent job.
I agree. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have passed the approval of the collective bargaining agreement between Union County and Union County Sheriff's Office and Laborers Local 773 with the custodians. I think I mentioned last meeting that it is tentatively agreed upon. It's signed, sealed, and delivered now. I need a motion to approve this, and put it in place.
I'll
say.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Toller,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
And I will add, To that note, we're in the process. We've had a couple meetings so far with the highway department on their contract. We had our first meeting last week with the FOP, so that negotiation has started. More news to come. I hope. AJCHS Superintendent Robbie Wright would like to make a presentation on the upcoming vote, or it's going on now, on the school facility sales tax. All yours.
I'll, I'm, of course, I'll do some of the talking. If anybody has any questions, try to answer them. We've got other superintendents here. Brett Bourne from Lick Creek School District's here, and Shelley Clover Hill from Shawnee, and Chuck Goforth here from Anna Elementary District as well are here in support of me speaking, I guess. I'm simply here to give some information. This item's been placed on the ballot to 1% sales tax for school facilities. It was approved by 6 of the 7 Board of Educations throughout the county. Put it on the ballot, and it'll be on the April 2nd ballot, asking voters to approve the 1% sales tax that would go to funding school facility costs. And essentially, this little brochure just simply explains what the tax is and things that would be taxed under this tax. It's going to be very similar to the tax that's out there for the county courthouse that help fund the building of the courthouse. Things that are basically whatever is a sales tax is what it would be on now, with some exceptions. Those exceptions listed are like cars, trucks, ATVs, boats, RVs. A lot of the big items wouldn't be included in this. Unprepared foods, so grocery items wouldn't be taxed either, neither would drugs, whether it's over the counter or prescription. Farm equipment and parts, services aren't taxed either. So those are some things that are carved out that would not be included in the 1% sales tax. The uses for this tax are pretty specific. The taxes essentially would be used for our buildings. You can use it for new facilities, you can use it for additions, renovations, repairs. You can use it for security purposes, like just for example, we've been looking at trying to come up with a new entrance into the high school. We felt like that's been an area of concern for us for security purposes. For people and visitors and kids throughout the day come into the high school, with the principal's office being a level above, and we've been looking at ways to maybe build a new entrance into the high school, into the current office. You know, that would be something that this sales tax money could be used for. It can also be used for health, life, safety items, and you've got a list of different things here, with parking lot, roof repairs, things like that. We did a roof project almost every summer I've been there, and still probably have about $500,000 more of roof repairs that need to be done in the next few years. So those are things the tax can be used for. The things the tax can't be used for, it cannot be used for salaries, it cannot be used for textbooks, buses, basically regular operational costs, computers, furniture, anything like that, that taxes can't be used for. So it's very specific on what it's used for. The brochure also has what the ballot question is, just so people are familiar with the question itself. Because the question itself is kind of difficult. If you just read through there, you really don't see any, you don't even see the word school until the third to last word. So people may not be familiar with that, what the question's actually asking. So we've got the question on there, and simply on the back of the brochure is a list of all the counties that have passed the sales tax. It started quite some time ago, but it's continued to spread. There's actually more than half the counties in the state of Illinois that have now passed the sales tax. I think 54 counties now have passed it out of 102, including all 9 counties that's to the north of us. So, you know, the reason why, when you go visit some of the school facilities to the north, whether it's in Jackson or Williamson County, Perry County, and you look at their facilities, and a lot of them are very impressive. There's a reason for that. And of course, when you go shop at Marion or Carbondale, every time you buy something or go out to eat, you're helping them improve their school. So, so we're just trying to get the word out, essentially educate people where they can make an educated decision, and everybody can decide on their own whether they think it's something that's worthy or not. And we're just trying to meet with different groups prior to the April 2nd election. And so if anybody has any questions for me or any of the other superintendents, I'd be glad to try and answer them.
Is there a time frame? Is this in perpetuity? So it's on forever?
If it is passed, there is no expiration date. The only way that it would be done is normally a voter initiate referendum to undo it. So. Any other questions?
Does it apply to fuel purchases?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. It wouldn't be on the gas tax. Yeah, we got the regional superintendent of schools here too that actually takes part in this process and helps distribute the funds when it comes out, so.
I'm curious, do you currently have facility money set aside in your budgets now?
Essentially, the only money that's used for facilities that comes to us is through the tax levy, and that there's a cap on that. So we do levy some for what we call our O&M fund, which is our operations and maintenance fund. And that's generally for us speaking, it's the one fund that we have difficulty keeping balance. Matter of fact, that on about 2 to 5 years I've been here, we've actually had to transfer funds from other funds to cover our expenses. And some will also do bonds to help pay for health, life, safety things, repairs that essentially we're told we have to fix these. You know, the state tells us we have to fix them because they're not in compliance. So some, like our schools, issued health, life, safety bonds to help do those repairs, like on roofs and things like that, although it doesn't always cover all the costs.
Robbie, who decides how the money is distributed? How do you?
Each individual board has discretion. On how it's going to be spent. You can save it. You can say for 3 years, I'm going to save up that money in order to pay for an expense that we know that's coming up, or you can spend it each year and do repairs or renovations. There's ways that even if a board chose to give some property tax relief as well. So that's up to each individual board on how they spend that money.
Also, the money follows the child.
Yes.
So based on our population is how much money we
Based on our enrollment. So we've
I've
got
had a few people ask.
whatever the percentage of our kids that attend AJ school in the Union County, we would get that percent of the funds. So if we've got a kid that transfers into Cobden, that bit of money we get for him follows into Cobden.
So I'll add into that a little bit. So our procedures in our office are is that in October is when they do a final enrollment count in the fall enrollment count. We take that fall enrollment count every year, and that determines then for the next year, January through December. So then every year it changes in January. We don't change it if students move in the middle of the year. It's for our full year based on the fall enrollment is how we do it. So the money comes to our office. We have to get that information, and we distribute it out to the school districts.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so it's not being distributed by the county office, it's by the regional office.
Yes.
So in other words, Dongola wouldn't receive as much as AJ because it's already been shown, correct?
That's correct.
And it wouldn't be divided equal between the.
It's not equal. It's,
No.
like I said, it's purely, they've got 10% of the kids that's enrolled in the county, they would get 10% of the funds from the Okay.
Do you have an idea how much money this tax would generate annually?
We've been given some figures based on like 2017 tax proceeds, and based on our enrollments at that time, how much each school would receive if this would have been in place, say, for the year 2017. So we've got an idea about what it would generate. Obviously, it's not generating the type of income that areas like Jackson County and Williamson County, which have a huge sales tax base, they're generating an unbelievable amount of money for those schools.
And what sort of number are you looking at?
For an example, our school based on those calculations, we would have received about 189,000 for that year, for the year.
What's the total for the whole county? I think,
That right now it's 7.5%.
no, but what's the total of that 1% for the whole county?
Oh,
We
right.
collect about $1 million.
Have you got,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit shy of $1 million.
Yes.
okay.
And that would be,
Because it's gonna equal exactly what they're receiving for the courthouse.
It averages out about $85,000 a month.
okay, so that's the pool you would split up
Yes.
by percentages. Okay, I'm just curious.
Sales tax is, never, it varies.
Yeah, but I'm
per month.
saying
So
that's the pool.
It's 70, some months it's been 70,000, some months it's been 95,000.
If I remember right off the top of my head, we would have got about 189,000. Cobden was almost identical to us because our enrollments are about the same. You would have got about 250,000, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
So, and I think you were 50 or 60.
53,000.
What was Don Dole's, just for curiosity?
It's about right at 100,000.
And Shawnee is already receiving some of this with Jackson County already. So we do look at the students on where they actually live to determine that enrollment also. So they have to live in the county.
So Shawnee would receive Union and Jackson?
Yes. So there's students that
They're
live in
receiving money
Jackson,
from
yes.
kids that live in Jackson right now.
Yes.
Right.
There's actually, for example,
Jackson, right.
there's a few kids that, from what, I guess, I'm not sure how it works, but say that live in our county, that showed them going like to Goreville and a couple of, where they live like $200 or
Goreville,
something.
Buncombe, Cypress, and Miami, all very, marginal amounts, but yeah.
And down the hill, where were they gonna generate their, income? Haulage, trucking, duty trucking, and gas station places?
It's just
County.
the county, all the kids would get money from Anna or Jonesboro or,
And what's been told throughout that, I guess one of the benefits of the sales tax is that it takes some of the onus off the property tax owners, where essentially right now, all of our funding is on the backs of the property tax owners throughout the county. And this would distribute it, amongst the other people. For example, a lot of people come from Alexander County and Placer County up here to shop and go to Walmart things. Those funds would be helping our schools and take maybe some of the relief off the property tax owners as well, so.
I'll add that to that, as a grandmother of children here, I come down for soccer games, I come down for baseball games, and sometimes we go out to eat after that, so when you have people coming in for activities like that, they also spend money in your county.
Any other questions from anybody?
Again, just on the informational side, and I know that the county has dealt with, certain things and financial, constraints. Everybody can use more money and more funding. But the can has been kicked down the road for a number of years regarding facilities. And, this is an opportunity that projects that have been, you do what you have to do to get by, but there are many things that can be done in a lot of the facilities that, have been put off. And so this would just be another way to, to drive, whether it's repairs or additions. When you go down that list and you look at our district, and I'm sure I speak regarding the other districts, there's money that has had to be spent out of the, the regular budget for a number of these things. That, something like this, if this were to transpire, that money can go to the facilities, and the other funds can go towards the educational aspect.
It makes better sense to do this than to consolidate all the schools, in my mind.
We are, and I will mention, we are planning a town hall style meeting on March 19th at the AJ High School auditorium. We'll be doing a little bit more in-depth PowerPoint presentation of what the tax entails, and also giving an opportunity again, as the superintendents and board members will be in attendance to answer any questions people may have, and that's at 6 o'clock on March 19th. So.
Thank you, Robbie. I will say, I attended your meeting as a representative of the county when you first started this, and I think all of us have got grandkids or kids or whatever that what I can relate to in the other schools and so forth. the only way is through sports. And you go to these other schools north of us, and quite frankly, they come here, it's almost an embarrassment. It really is. That's not a reflection on you. But this is something that is definitely needed in my mind, but that's just my opinion. I'm not, so.
I think you give me an opportunity for us to come here and speak, so,
Rob,
thank you.
got some requests for the pamphlets. Yes.
If anybody wants one of these, matter of fact,
I've got,
No, I have one at home, so.
okay. We can go out, anybody wants one?
Sure.
Another?
Robbie, if you get some more made, if you wanna bring them by, I can,
I'm having some more made. We've had some donations from our architects that are donating these for us, and they're bringing me some more down that we've been getting out in the banks and different places. So we'll have them available at the meeting as well.
Thanks again, Robert. Don't think we have anything for executive session that I'm aware of. Any other business? Need a motion to adjourn.
Max, can I say one more thing, please? On the recycling, have you ever looked into selling the recycling? In the newspaper, something online here, a couple months ago, there's a county just north of us that is selling the recycling, and it's making money for the county and for projects, and that could be a tax that your school is out to say. Alex Schultz Mental Health, I don't know if you know, that recycling goes to the patients out there. That's how they buy their Sony Pops, candies, and different things. They bundle it up and they sell it. And I think this would be something, if you would please look into it.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Have a motion, and a second.
okay. No one argues over this one, huh? Commissioner Pitts?
Yeah.
Mr. Toller?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Gould?
Yeah, I am.